Man, I know all you guys out there already know what time it is and what day it is, but I'm going to remind you one more time. It's podcast night. We are the mega powers of podcasting, and this is On the Money Podcast, live from Casa de Money in the epicenter of Nostalgia Mania, right down here in the On the Money Sports Lounge. It's going down, and tonight, finally, our first official football deep dive episode of the new season. That's right. We're in the dog days of summer. We've been locked in on baseball. It's the All-Star break. So it's time to give all of our attention, our undivided, to the sport that we love the most, football. And tonight we break down quarterback tiers. And the man whose plan this was sits beside me right now. He is the commissioner of the On the Money Sports League, none other than Oscar O'Money.
Just want to make sure my crap's muted. Ladies and gentlemen, it's podcast night. There's not a single thing brewing on television and sports. Unless you want to watch AEW's 250th episode of Dynamite that they're celebrating.
We are AEW's biggest competition tonight, and we might win.
We're going to break the ratings. Yes.
We're going to break the internet tonight once more, as only On the Money Sports can.
Woo!
I'm going to try to remember to go live.
I'm not a nugget!
If you're watching this on Facebook right now, if you're part of the On the Money Sports Forum Lounge crew, check in, lock in. Welcome to podcast night. Magoo was the first one to check in. What's going on, Matt? Oh, boy.
Matt, Serge, what's going on?
It's always the NY fans that are the first ones to check in for podcast night. Much appreciated.
Except Mikey, because I'm waiting for Mikey to pop up.
Oh, boy.
So I can begin where I left off in our group text messaging.
Why are we going to start there? There's so much to discuss tonight.
Why do
we make that the centerpiece of tonight's podcast when it was already the centerpiece of our conversation through the entirety of the group chat? We'll get to the tier eventually. We'll dissect it, we'll build it up to the best. Why provoke the man before he even
Stay
checks
classy,
in?
boys. This might not listen.
Chris already knows what it is. What's going on, Chris? What's going on?
How does one become a part of the Finer Things Club?
Man, I was trying to look. I try to keep it civil, guys. I really do try. This guy over here wants to start.
We got a guy who spews propaganda at us, who's been trying to defend the position of Joe Shine for the last 2 months.
All right, we're going to talk about it.
And Joe Shine looks like a bigger clown than Doink the Clown at this moment.
We're talking Hard Knocks, baby. We're starting off the show talking Hard Knocks. The Giants are on Hard Knocks. We don't know if this is a good or a bad thing at this point.
Thought it was hard to be classy when Cowboys fans around.
Because, the footage that we're getting on a week-to-week basis just keeps shining more light on the Saquon Barkley situation. And we've got a good friend of ours whom I love. I've known for over 25 years. And he is defending the Giants' position. Unlike anybody I've ever seen, and I want to believe him. I want to,
12-5.
I want to look at his side of things. But
you should bet footage, that. Make sure you bet that on Bet360.
The Hard Knocks footage that keeps coming out each and every week.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's the war. It's Barkley versus the Giants.
We cannot condone the language used.
We don't control any of that.
These views are not the views of the co-hosts of the On the Money Sports.
It's uncensored. It's On the Money Sports. We only control so much. And right now, we're doing it the only way we know how, live in living color.
I'm logging off. You guys suck.
Now, John Merrill.
There's no logging off because you guys are going to give us your honest assessment of all the footage that has been flown around. But
have you been watching?
I don't want you to give us your honest assessment yet. Let us dig deep real quick.
Bro, he got what he asked for. Still told the Giants no. He's in his feelings.
But you guys didn't make a counteroffer, and it's caught on television.
The evidence, the footage is damning, bro. It's Where's Rob? Where's Roach? We need all Giants fans front and center because Hard
Get in
Knocks
front of
is
us right
taken
now.
front and center on the podcast. We need answers.
There's nowhere to
I
run.
was trying to avoid it.
Nowhere
Mikey,
to hide.
I'm sorry, Mike. But I was watching a little bit of the footage today, and it is not a good look when the owner of the organization known as the New York Football Giants, 4-time Super Bowl champions, is sitting on a desk across from his GM. He asked his GM, what's the latest update on the Saquon Barkley situation? The GM responds to owner John Mara, last I heard, I got a text that the Chicago Bears are going to be the highest bidders and the Eagles are out on Saquon Barkley. But I'm not sure how true that is. I'm not making this up. He didn't say that. That's words coming out of the mouth of the general manager
Joe Shine.
of the New York Football Giants.
Sheen,
so
Shine,
you tell me who his source is that told him the Eagles are out when the Eagles were the most in of any football team. He went and signed the deal with Philly the same day that he spoke to the Giants. When they told him you could test free agency. You realize that, right? Like
they told him go.
Realize that.
By allowing him to go see his market, you screwed yourselves from the rip. I don't think your owner feels the way you guys feel. I don't feel like your owner is very pleased.
Mara said, and I quote, he is by far the most popular player we have, a.k.a. we are about to lose all of our jersey sales because who are you going to market now?
Daniel Jones.
Is that going to be your highest selling jersey? It's probably Malik Neighbors, and he just got there.
Probably.
No,
Burns.
He's definitely
it's got to be
talented.
Burns.
Malik Neighbors is great. He's awesome.
It's got to be Brian Burns. He's got to have the number one selling jersey now.
And then if it's Mara, I'm thinking to myself, well, if you wanted him so bad,
timeout.
Maybe Mara, you should have had this offer ready 2 years ago. Let's not just talk about last year.
I'm not worried about last year's deal.
At all, he didn't want him to go.
I'm not worried about last year's deal. We're talking about what did the Giants offer him this season? Absolutely nothing. They didn't even try to go. Okay, just try to counter. Don't, Saquon, I know you're getting $25 million. What if I can do $25 million on a shorter term deal? There was no counter offer to the Eagles offer. So all you guys keep telling us that they offered him a contract. They offered 2023 off season does not matter. I don't know how many more times I have to say this out loud for everybody to hear.
With his head in his ass. We're turning on the owners tonight. We're turning on the GMs. Excuse me.
Listen, this past offseason,
Mara should have offered him that 2 years ago.
Yes.
2 years ago, there should have been an offer on the table for Saquon Barkley. Before everything happened, before the playoff run. They should have been an offer 2 years ago when we were having the discussion of who do you pay Danny Dimes or Saquon Barkley. John Mara, that one's on you. And now you're looking at the new guy. You're bringing him into the position that he's in. You're asking him for information, and his source is lying to him. His source is telling him the Eagles are out, and Saquon Barkley is a Philadelphia Eagle. He said the Bears we're gonna up the ante.
The Bears got the Eagles to go out.
The Bears are gonna up the
whoever
ante.
your source is, fire them. Fire them. Don't ever converse with that source again.
That source is a lie, and I think Mara realizes that he might have to fire another GM soon.
Dimes any QB. Oof.
Vegas has the over-under at
10
7.
right off the top of my head.
Vegas has the over-under at 7. That's the number of games they think the Giants are going to win this year, and they think the New York Giants are going to be last place in the NFC East this year.
I'll go with 6.
We'll see what happens, okay? We'll see what happens. Here we are, like Chris said. I'm glad they didn't match the offer because we wouldn't have been able to add the pieces on the offensive line and possibly the Burns deal doesn't get done. We got Motor Singletary. Let's go Big Blue. You got Singletary at a good value, like at a budget. A running back who in the last couple years, it's fair to say, has revived his career. You know what I mean? Like he was floundering in Buffalo and he made himself relevant again.
Buffalo's RB1 is Josh Allen.
So, Singletary can do well this year. You know he's going to get work this year. So I'm not going to knock Singletary, and that could be one of the silver linings of the whole situation if you can get a productive year out of him moving forward and see where you go from there.
You need about 900 yards rushing and like 400 yards receiving.
I'll take Rodgers not playing due to Achilles last year over how Dimes played it at his contract. Well, last year he got hurt. All right. So last year, Danny Dimes' numbers are 2 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions.
But he wasn't playing good to begin with.
Well,
are we going to sit here and not acknowledge that?
Are we going to sit here and not acknowledge the fact that he got paid off of a 1-year wonder? The 1 year they go and they beat Minnesota. You don't know who Minnesota is, so you don't know who you are in turn. Like, you don't know what you have. You just paid them. You don't know. The Giants don't know who they are.
No.
Even more so now that you take the most essential offensive piece of that offense off the offense. Like, you don't know who you are.
What has Barkley really done for the Giants other than the jersey sales? He provided a threat in the backfield.
Jersey sales was top 2 on Mara's list. So he's not getting anything he wants right now, nor is he getting the correct responses out of his GM.
The entire offense was a blur.
Oh, man.
Y'all had the Tommy Cutler era.
Where is he? Is he even on the team anymore?
I don't think so.
How do you guys think that they were able to get Drew Lock to go over there? They probably told him, you got a shot to start over here. You got a shot to start in New York. Why not? Try it. So how? Oh, this is crazy. Ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
you got to check out this Hard Knocks thing. I don't know how much of the footage they're putting out that the Giants have okayed or that they know is being put out there, but it is not shining a good light on them, and it's not making their GM look competent. Right now, the GM of the New York Football Giants looks like the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. They're both in over their heads at their positions. And
this is directly from SB Nation, written by Joseph Acosta earlier today at 11:18. This is the headline. The Giants are so embarrassing on Hard Knocks, no team will ever do it again. We might not ever get something like this again, mainly because it makes the front office look incredibly stupid.
You got to take those cameras all over, though. There's a lot of places where guys are about to lose their jobs. It's interesting TV.
The reason it may not be returning is simple. This all-season content has made the Giants look like idiots at almost every step. Giants GM Joe Sheen came into New York with a lot of high hopes after spending a lot of time in Buffalo, but now the questions are going to get a lot louder. The biggest thing that has come out of the Giants all-season Hard Knocks is the entire process of trying to re-sign running back Saquon Barkley, who ended up going to the rival Eagles. The entire process seemed to reflect what Barkley said about his negotiations with the Giants, where he said there was a lot of stuff that went down behind the scenes that frustrated him to the point of leaving. Per Philadelphia Inquirer's E.J. Smith.
Mike D just checked in officially, in case you were wondering. And he's incredibly disappointed in what we've done in the first 14 minutes of the podcast. He's already done with what we're saying. But I don't know, man. I don't know about us spinning it a certain type of way.
Here we go. I'm not spinning this because this is a recap. In addition, Joe Shine is really, really stuck on the idea of Daniel Jones. In the first episode, he defends the $40 million contract he gave Daniel Jones in response to what Barkley was asking for. You're paying that guy $40 million, Giants general manager Joe Sheen said. It's not to hand the ball off to a $12 million back. Whoo! Is that not true? Because I heard that in a clip.
Man, Mikey, you don't have to defend Joe because he might not be there in a couple years anyway. Like, the Giants will still be there, but...
Oh, this guy said what you said, too. Then, as we get into later episodes of the Giants dealing with Saquon's contract, owner John Mara parachutes in and gives the funniest comment ever on Hard Knocks, knowing what we know now. I'll have a tough time sleeping as Saquon goes to Philadelphia. He's the most popular player we have by far.
Jersey sales. AKA Jersey sales. The Giants are
if
working
you want to
on
check
who
this
they
out, go
are,
to
and
SB
Shone,
Nation.
that is pronounced Shane. I didn't know how to say it. Schoen. Oscar said it in the Hard Knock that we are going to a prototype QB, and you guys are ridiculous. Why does it mix and the whole team has holes? Please explain that to me. Maybe what Magoo was saying earlier has some validity to it, where, you know, if you sign him, you don't have the opportunity to do some of the other things that the Giants did in this offseason. Chris is ready to move on from it completely.
The Giants are working on who they are.
It's only prime time. And Rick has checked in with his thoughts on the New York Football Giants and what's going on right now.
It's the only prime time they're going to get.
I just, you know, reading the body language, like what Colin was saying earlier, it's an important thing.
How are we
sometimes.
twisting what's on the videos though?
I'm not, you know, when John Mara's sitting there like
so
this.
Colin Cowherd, Pat McAfee, Daniel Jeremiah, Tom Pelissero,
I think
have all twisted the words like we
think
did.
Everybody that I've listened to has better sources than what the Giants GM has, because whoever was sourcing him that the Eagles are out on Saquon Barkley, he sent him there's a mole inside the organization or something, because somebody's lying somewhere. So I don't know if Shane is doing his due diligence or did his due diligence as far as the entirety of this Barkley thing. You know, I wasn't leaning either way at one point.
The fact is, we did offer Barkley a contract. It doesn't matter when it was, Oscar. He did it because he felt disrespected. So the Giants didn't actually, he did them 2 favors. Side note, Oscar, you just named a bunch of clowns. And we'll end up all first explaining why you left.
If the Giants knew how to manage their cap, this isn't an issue. Golly. Well. Oh,
bro, they're almost as dysfunctional as the Cleveland Browns right now.
I just know.
Whether anybody wants to admit it or not, the GM looks very incompetent in these episodes so far.
He looks like he's
in over his head.
He looks as competent as Nick Sirianni looks coaching the Eagles. They're both in over their heads at their positions, and they need all the right people around them in order to get.
You see his 2 cohorts; they're like this.
They were looking down the whole time because they didn't even want to be in the room while this conversation's happening. It was so uncomfortable. Body language is everything. And when the owner of the organization, the owner who is also part of the bloodline that helped create the NFL, basically, is looking at you and telling you that they are going to lose sleep if Saquon Barkley goes to Philly and that he is the most popular player by far. And then
you bet on the wrong horse.
Your next move. And now he's watching in the same room with you on TV that he just signed a 3-year deal with the Birds, and you're chuckling, telling him it's going to be okay. It does not feel
that was
okay,
the best part. He goes, "We're going to be fine." And Mara just walks out of the room laughing.
Because nobody
was that laugh like, this idiot.
Nobody believed it. When he said it, nobody in that room, including himself, believed that they were going to be fine.
Mikey is.
I don't believe that they're going to win 7 games. I think they win 5. I'm betting the under on that one. You know,
are we doing a live bet on
we can. I'll do a future bet on that because there's no way. Yes, you drafted well. Yes, the defense is going to do great. The defense is going to be awesome, but they're also going to be on the field 45 minutes.
Mikey, it didn't sound like he believes in them in those.
Mara's worried about selling jerseys. Joe is there to put a team together. Mara believes in Joe very much.
I feel like Joe's leash is small.
Well, what's the bar this year for the Giants? Can we talk about that? Like, what is the bar for the Giants?
What is the bar?
What do the Giants have to do this year in order for everything to be okay?
No. What do the Giants have to do this year so everybody keeps their job?
You think that everyone's going to keep their job no matter what happens? You don't. Like, do you think that no matter what happens to the Giants this year, good or bad, everybody across the board keeps their jobs? Like, there's going to be no... What, this is his second year?
Bro, he's not going to fire a guy after 2 years. He kept bum-ass Gettleman. How long?
Try to let this play out at least another year or two, and it's playing out though. It's playing out right
Giants
before
are
our
going to need
eyes
6
on
preseason
Hard
games
Knocks.
to figure out who's running the ball.
Well, they got some young potential in the running backs they have there. It's not a question of if the talent isn't there.
Will Daboll be there after this year if they only win 5-6 games?
Mikey believes so. I don't know.
I know a guy who says you got 3 years, and he's a Giants fan.
I don't know who's going to be there on the New York Football Giants if this year goes how I think it's going to go. I just think it's going to go 5-12. That's what it sounds like to me. But that's just me. I don't know what Mikey's prediction is for them. I don't know what your prediction for them is. But if they go 5-12,
tell Baby Ranger we said hello.
What's the next move? I guess you get excited because you're going to have another top pick.
We got a second guy who says Daboll ain't going nowhere.
So we believe that. But so that doesn't mean that Shane ain't going anywhere. Daboll stays, and Shane is the one that's out the door. There's a couple GMs that are playing for their jobs this year.
4-13.
Oof. Because not for nothing, Dougie P and Jacksonville with the GM out there, they better figure something out because, they were the darlings of the NFL world 2 years ago. I remember that. And now nobody cares. They're the old toy. Everybody's on Houston now. So you got a 2-for-1 special in Jacksonville because Dougie P and them, they're playing for their jobs this year. And if the Jags go out there and shit the bed like they did this past year, and not everything's just going to be okay.
Agent called Joe about the offer. Joe asked if it was from the Eagles, and the agent didn't even want to say anything. So I'm betting his source was Barkley's agent. But again, that doesn't matter because Barkley knew he was gone before anyone else did. Because you paid Daniel Jones. He saw y'all get Daniel Jones that $40 million deal, and he said everything that we all said. What the hell are we doing? So you're going to pay that mediocre guy that money, and I'm not worth it.
I mean, okay. He knew he wasn't going to get paid when that happened.
He checked out at that moment.
I mean, it has happened before, right? Are they they're not connected to each other, are they? Did they come in at the same time?
Yeah.
They did come in at the same time? Okay. Well, then they are connected. So then it's a twofer. So maybe that buys him another year, but, would it be?
I think Daboll's on a little leash here, guys.
Would it be?
Because he got rid of Wink Martindale because of the egos between the two of them. And Wink Martindale is one of the finest defensive coordinators in the league.
So would keeping their jobs include moving on from Danny Dimes? Like moving on from Danny Dimes?
Should have just tagged them.
Buy them another year?
There was no need to give him a multi-year deal. I would have tagged them.
I don't know. And, last year, unfortunately, Dimes was hurt, so he missed a lot of time. You know what I mean? It's hard to measure what could have happened last year. This year, supposedly he's healthy. He's avoided the PUP list from everything that I'm seeing so far on reports that are coming out.
He's got a lot of expectations that he needs to fill. I'm going to say later on, but this is Daniel Jones' last chance of being a starting quarterback in this league.
I love Wink, but defense is getting cooked a lot. This is a big year for him. He's playing for his career, I feel like. Not just for the Giants. I think I know what they're gonna end up being. I don't know what he's gonna end up being. Because the Giants, if this doesn't work out, they're gonna move on and they're gonna continue their search for the right quarterback. And eventually maybe they find that quarterback that can lead this young group that has a bunch of talent on it. If he ain't the answer, they're gonna go out and try to find the answer. But if he's not the answer, I don't know what that means as far as him and his future the following season when he's not there, or however long it's going to take for them to rid themselves of this not so great contract. It's not good, no matter how we want to cut it. It's not good. They gave him his money because he won himself a playoff game. Let's be honest here. How else was it going to be a possibility that this happens? Beat the Vikings and he got paid. In the case, since he signed the contract, he had 2 more years to really prove himself, regardless of what happens, because I believe there's still a chance even if he plays well this year.
Don't fall for it. He could play like an MVP this year. I would not re-sign him.
You would have to go out and
I would cut him still.
You'd have to go out and sign a vet the following year because next year.
I already told you their quarterback is going to be next year, bro.
Dak Prescott?
Dak Prescott.
Dakota
Prescott will be the New York Football Giants' next quarterback. And then when the Dallas Cowboy fans are saying Dak sold out, the Giants fans are going to be like, yeah! And it'll be like, my, how 1 year changed.
Mike, how would you feel about Dak Prescott being your quarterback? Would that make you happy in 2025? Our look ahead, it's the time to make all the future bets now. The team, we got the top 2 O-line free to see, and we traded for and signed one of the top defensive linemen in the league, bro. They are building a team here. Building from the trenches. Dak is trash. That's Mikey's thought on the whole Dak to the Giants. That's been a take that you've had on the pod for about a month and a half.
Dak will win the division with them. Dak will actually beat the Eagles with them. Dak will actually beat the Cowboys as a Giant.
In the last 10 years, the Giants have not won the NFC East, a division that has been won by a different team each and every season in the last decade. The Giants have not been one of those teams. Everybody talks shit on the Yankees for, when I talk about championships and they talk about how it's been a while since you won one. I don't understand why it would be okay to give the Giants a free pass on this subject, but that's a topic for another day. Nonetheless,
it's been 13 years.
We are going to follow this story. We are going to see what becomes of the New York Football Giants after Hard Knocks during the regular season. We've got divisional breakdowns coming down in August where we're going around. We're doing the East, the South, the West, the North, AFC, NFC. Each episode of the month for August, including our playoff and predictions episode, where we're going around to each division, breaking them down, picking our winners. Not just picking our winners.
I thought we were doing QB tiers. I've been here for a half hour. Let's move it on, boys.
I'm trying to casually segue into what I'm giving you the lineup for what's coming here at the end of the summer to prepare for football. This is the first official football. You want to do
the running back wide receiver tiers next week?
Yeah, we can do that next week since we're doing the QB tiers this week.
Have a little baseball talk too.
Yeah, DeVito is still a Giant. All right. I was wondering.
So next week we'll talk about running backs, wide receivers.
We'll lump them in together.
Some baseball. The following week we'll do a fantasy preview. And then we'll sprinkle in some fantasy tonight when we're talking quarterbacks. But for the most part, and I like when Mikey's here for the fantasy football stuff because it's just giving the, dissecting the strategy going into a new season. Like with baseball being such a distraction this year, like this is the first time that I'm like all in on football, and it's like a fresh subject. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about my dynasty teams, and I'm excited to just put those 2024 predictions in play, and remind these guys about the things that I'm right about, just like they remind me about what I'm wrong about. It's the beauty of this shit. I am big. My thumbs are tired.
How are you defending the Giants like I am? Man, Chris picked up Drew Lock that day in the waivers for a reason. He might have dropped him because he has to make room for other things.
I want to eat my Wendy's, damn it.
Nonetheless, tonight we're doing quarterback tiers. We're breaking down the tiers for 2024. That's the disclaimer that I put out there because we know that this year players and quarterbacks more specifically can play their way up a tier and can also play themselves down a tier. This is just our perspective on what we expect for these guys moving into the 2024 season and where the bar is for them. Nobody could find me the New York Giants bar for this season, but we found the bar for these quarterbacks. So we'll go through all of it, all the information that we have.
That was him, not me,
I'm
guys.
excited. I've got what I did to prepare for tonight's podcast was I put together the 2023 stats for the top quarterbacks in the league. And I also put together their career stats overall, as far as I'm talking completion percentage, yards, touchdowns, interceptions. I did 20 because the other 12 starting QBs are all going to fall into the lower tier categories anyway. It's easier to track them. And there's a lot of these kids who haven't really played enough football where I saw any point to actually track their stats at all.
All right. I just wanted to get my stuff up.
The Giants will win more than 7 games, Mikey says. I think Vegas knows best, and I think that 7 is a safe bar for this football team. Because like I said, Burns is he's awesome. Malik Neighbors, super talented. But it's clear to me, without having watched the entire episodes of Hard Knocks, that there are still a lot of holes to fill on the team. Just like Mike
I don't
said
respect
earlier.
Oscar's list because Danny isn't on it. Yes, he is. He's in the last chance category.
I did my best to just keep this non-biased and fair according to the tiers that I put together.
I'm going to give you mines because mines I did in a longer format. I did mines with different headlines so that I can really group these quarterbacks. I feel like not all of them should be grouped together like people want them to be. And I'm here to give you an honest, a subjective look. Like, I'm not biased in this situation. I have no milk and cookies on any of these guys.
Now, I have a question for you. When you do these tiers, how much of your tiers have any type of like a fantasy football influence to them?
Absolutely
like,
none.
Separate that completely from it, and you base it off.
I
of
look
real
at what they
NFL
do and what I see week to week.
Okay.
Because sometimes we can get skewed by it because of bonuses.
I love those bonuses. I was just curious because I know right now it's like I'm in ready to talk football mode, but I'm also in dynasty mode. So I'm looking at all these players. I'm also looking at their values. I can't help myself.
My boys, I just
looking
got home. What I missed?
What's going on, Rose?
I'm sure Mikey, Chris, Matt, Magoo can fill you all in on it.
We came in hot tonight on the podcast discussing the developing story that is Hard Knocks and your football team being on Hard Knocks.
Been on the phone about some trade rumors. Nothing, Rob. Just them bashing Danny Dimes.
I wasn't bashing them that crazy today.
You missed the important part, Rob. Damn it.
I spent more time bashing
blaming the Giants.
I spent more time bashing the GM because he just looks like a doofus right now to me, bro. Like,
yeah, I was making fun of the GM more than anything.
I was talking shit about Nick Sirianni the same exact way this whole time. So it's just right now I'm calling it like I'm seeing it on this subject, and I'm interested to just see how this plays out. You know. The introduction to the podcast. Oh, good Lord. All right, so you base yours off of not fantasy football, but reality.
What I see reality-wise. So, category 1, only one person's in it, and that person is Pat Mahomes. That category is elite. I almost flirted with another player in it, but I told myself, no.
Okay.
Regardless of what Pat Mahomes' stats looked like last year, he still did what was needed to be done. He won.
Yeah.
He was clutch.
Yep.
He wasn't doing anything fancy. He wasn't a part of the finer things club last year. He was all about winning.
Last year
and it didn't matter what he did to get to the dub.
Ended with a completion percentage of 67.2. He had 4,183 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. We know that the football during the regular season wasn't pretty a lot of times, but it didn't matter because they turned it up when it mattered most. And right now for his career, he's at 66.5 completion percentage with 28,424 yards, 219 touchdown passes, and 63 interceptions with 3 Super Bowl rings to boot, which is why he, on my tiers list, is also in a league of his own. He is in tier 1. My tier 1 is also called elite, and he is the only one in that tier by a mile because the other guys still have to, boost their resumes with a little bit more winning to get themselves into that tier. And they still can because my next tier is relatively young, but they got to get the job done. You need more than just a Super Bowl appearance, which is why I placed that elite tier value on tier 1.
Did we mention how the Eagles paid for a traitor, soon to be over the hill, often injured running back? You know what?
Well,
if he does get hurt a lot next year, let's hope that man is hurt for every game but those Giants games, so I can see him just go off for 150 plus and 2 touchdowns.
I forgot to mention that earlier. Let's see what happens when Barkley goes up against the the Giants.
The vaunted Brian Burns defense.
And we see what those stat lines look like, because if there's anything more damning than that, like, I hope that Hard Knocks runs long enough where we can be at those games and see what Barkley ends up doing when he goes up against the Giants.
Listen,
because
it's
RGM
July 17th, 9:07 p.m., and Mikey and Matt are mandated to be at the lounge for both Eagles and Giants games. We
got to see this play
as long as they're Sunday afternoon. I get it for the nighttime games. They are mandated to be here.
We got to see it. We got to see it. Our GM.
I'd be injured if my fan threw a bag at Captain Mediocre Danny Jones.
We traded A.J. Brown to the Eagles. The Eagles beat us. The very next morning, our GM was gone. You got to pay for your sins. We're going to find out who's right and who's wrong. And if Saquon Barkley goes out there and torches these guys for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns first time they play, like, what are we going to do? How long do we continue to defend the wrong? How long? I mean, anywho, tier 1 is basically the easiest tier to do. Yep. There usually are no arguments when it comes to tier 1. Right now, we both can agree tier 1 is one guy. His name is Patrick Mahomes, defending reigning Super Bowl champion of the NFL. And, we're now talking about can he or can he not commit the three-peat pretty much, and now we go into tier 2.
My tier 2 is called, my tier 2 is called regular season winners.
Regular season winners. Okay.
Guys who get the job done during the season and get to the playoffs consistently, win a game, lose a game, whatever. But they consistently get there. Those quarterbacks are the following: Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and I put Burrow in there, even though there are injury concerns.
Hey, he got to a Super Bowl. There's a lot of quarterbacks.
Those are that's what I'm going to call them.
Okay.
Regular season winners.
So your list right here looks exactly like my tier 2, with the exception of one player who I will call his name out right now and tier him down because he's on the lower tier. I do have on this list Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. I have those 4. I have Dak a tier down. But the other 4, 2 of them, regardless of how I feel about Jalen Hurts and whether or not I believe in his ability to read the field, he has taken his football team to a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow has taken his football team to the playoffs, to a Super Bowl.
3 out of the 4 years of a starter.
And these 4 quarterbacks are the ones that I truly believe do have the opportunity to go and challenge Mahomes and potentially beat Mahomes and go and get themselves their first Super Bowl ring. Maybe I believe in Burrow, Lamar, and Josh Allen right now more than I do Hurts, but he has made his appearance. He has made his appearance, and I put him in that class because that rushing upside still makes a big difference. A lot of the reasons why the Eagles were winning football games last year were because of some of the things that he was doing, not necessarily throwing the ball, but,
with his legs. He really doesn't throw touchdown pass. His numbers are skewed because of the rushing touchdowns he gets.
He's got 3,800 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, and 15 picks last year.
He's an average quarterback.
So completion percentage is 65.4, 15 picks. I don't remember how many fumbles. He now has 67 touchdowns on the career and 34 picks overall in his career.
Yeah, I've been on this stance since maybe 2 years now.
Joe Burr.
I've been on this stance 2 years now that Dak Prescott and Josh Allen are the same guy.
You have.
And the numbers back it up. The only thing different about the 2 of them is their skin color. That is absolutely it. On the field, those 2 guys will throw the most beautiful passes. They will have some of the greatest games, but then those 2 will also have some of the biggest boneheaded plays,
some of the ugliest
interceptions, fumbles, meltdowns in a game that I have ever seen.
It's funny because
when they both get to the playoffs, they'll win a playoff game. But then when they get to the next round, or sometimes when they get to the first round, they just get blown out.
It's funny because those two teams might have the most pressure in their divisions as far as like winning their divisions this year. I guess you could say
They do.
and Buffalo. Because if Dallas does
Dak is a light-skinned McNabb, and Allen is a white-skinned McNabb. Oof.
They just when in the clutch they do not handle that very well. We've seen it. Totally understandable. Maybe it's just a case of me believing in the other four quarterbacks more than I believe in Dak Prescott.
What if Dak? It's not what if. I think Dak's leaving.
Is this Mike McCarthy's last year?
I think it's going to be a whole cleaned house. Maybe McCarthy stays and they let him develop Trey Lance.
I think Dak might end up in New York next year.
Because
you missed the part where he mentioned that before we got into this.
What if Dak leaves Dallas and all of a sudden starts winning playoff games with other teams? Like, it was just Dallas.
I mean, yeah, that's usually what it's the same thing there. We're pending right now because we're looking at Barkley, and it's like if he leaves New York, what becomes of the rest of his career now?
What if he never misses a game again?
With Dak Prescott, if he leaves Dallas, it's going to be the same thing. Especially if he leaves but stays in the division, a division that right now is pretty interesting, man. Because I'm telling you guys, Washington is sneakily doing a lot of shit that is going to they get a pass for this year. I wouldn't expect them to overachieve.
That's called the
season.
Jones effect, Oscar.
I pray it's just the Dallas.
And you know
curse.
what? It's true because you got former tight ends, Dalton Schultz, talking about we're working out in practice in the weight room.
I'd rather have Josh Allen.
And there's fans. There's fans just walking the area and looking at them work out. Like it's all glitz and glamour, and I don't think some of these players like it. Some of these players just want to concentrate on football.
As far as playing in Dallas?
Yeah.
Well, Mike McCarthy's already sick of it.
Dak, a damn good QB. I ride with him. My guy never switch up on Dallas. Always folded in the playoffs, just keeping it a buck.
Nobody mentions
what up, Jason?
Nobody mentions the vaunted Dallas Cowboys defense that was out there getting lit up by Jordan Love as soon as the football game started. That's another valid point that flies under the radar. I don't think a lot of Dallas fans are still sure of how to feel as far as Dak Prescott
that
potentially
defense
not
folded,
playing,
bro. As great as they were, but
top five. That's all I kept hearing.
If Trayvon Diggs doesn't get hurt, man,
yeah,
that just sucks.
I haven't seen Jason in a minute, bro. What's up? It's good to hear from you, dude. Hope all is well, dude.
My next tier set is let me see some consistency.
Okay. And
those players are Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence. I know I'm going to hear Tua's
last
amazing.
Tier was franchise QB?
Regular season was winners.
Okay. Gotcha.
You could probably lump these together. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to be a little different.
You've got Tua, you've got Justin Herbert, and you've got Trevor Lawrence.
I need to see
now
consistency.
Swimming in the same pool.
You got NFL's Adam Rank, who's a fantasy guy, talking about how we forget about Justin Herbert's rookie year. We do because it was 4 years ago, and the dude hasn't been anywhere close to that since then, even when he was healthy.
You got to do something else, man.
Robert, Rob, you are 100% right. Herbert gets too much of a pass from everyone.
It's time to pay your dues, son.
Secondly, Tua. Once he gets cold, Tua's cooked. If Tua's not playing indoors or in South Florida, he gets cooked.
He's lost a lot.
I need you to be the guy that's in September and October when you're only 10-2. I need that same quarterback November, December, and in the playoffs, brother. Okay. You can't be and Trevor, you got paid because of what you did in college, bro. I don't know if anybody's told you that yet. You got paid off of what you did for Clemson. You have no reason to be getting that kind of contract when you took your team to the playoffs once and the Chargers charged in that playoff game because you were getting your ass handed to you.
They lost it more than you wanted.
Absolutely. So, brother, I need some consistency.
Yeah, Tua, the Dolphins did not want to pay him. Another team that you look at their team and their defense kind of folded too. But they still did not want to give him the money. And there's a reason behind that. And this is a year where I don't think you're just asking to see more consistency. I think the Dolphins are asking to see more consistency out of Tua Tagovailoa, which is also why I do not have him on my tier 3. I don't think he's worthy of tier 3. My tier 3.
Ooh, okay. At least Tua has more of an excuse. He's smaller and literally shouldn't be playing anymore for all those injuries. Herbert plays in the sun, choked, and lost to the Raiders. Time to play those dudes, son. Stone Cold voice. And Paul with the Dak to Miami.
That's spicy. My tier 3 is labeled starters still capable of getting a team to the Super Bowl. That means that I feel like these guys, maybe they're not the franchise guy, but they have everything around them where if they play to their potential, they could potentially be a Super Bowl team this year. Maybe. You know what I mean? Asterisk. And there's former Super Bowl champions in this group. There are guys who the questions are there if they should be a franchise QB or not. It's Matthew Stafford. It's Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? I start with some of the cavalry. Then I've got CJ Stroud in this tier because I feel like he's played himself to this tier and he has a lot of good things going on around him. I've got Justin Herbert, like you, in this tier. I've got Brock Purdy, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff. All those people right now are in the same boat to me because they all have the things around them.
My tier is the next 2 tiers honestly could be the same tier.
Yeah, it's all the guys besides him. Yeah. Tua I have in tier 4.
My tier is called I have 2 tiers coming up and they're with the same players you got. That tier is how much gas is left. That's Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford, which it's an honest, legit question to ask. How much gas, an Achilles coming back at 40 years old, that's very tough. Matt Stafford missed games last year. Arm, back, finger,
I think so.
He is taking a punishment.
I like this rookie class a lot, Jason.
And then I got the tier after that is called solid. Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins.
Kirk got paid. Goff got paid.
So honestly, you could legit put all of them together and rename that tier solid.
You would make that my tier 3,
yeah.
Which is the quarterbacks who, if everything goes right for them, hell, we could see them in the NFC title game, AFC title game, competing to get to the Super Bowl, maybe falling short, but still, making this year a good run for their football team. Justin Herbert, we mentioned earlier, the regime change going on in LA. Could this finally be what takes the Chargers over the hump?
I mean, bro, there was talks about he was considering trading him at one point, but I'm pretty sure the front office the owner was probably like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
I think there was some smoke to that fire with him thinking about taking J.J. McCarthy at that spot in the draft this past draft.
Coach Dayball was thinking about it, moving up in the draft for Jaden Daniels. He said straight up, yeah, I would. That's a quote. That's not me making that up.
I think Jaden Daniels and J.J. McCarthy are going to be 2 of the –
Jaden Daniels is going to be a stud.
I think they're going to be a lot better than what people think they are.
Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders are my sleeper for this year. I think they're my sleeper.
And Caleb will talk to when we get to the bottom of the list where I got the category rookies.
So I'll start off with my tier 4. And this is the tier of, you mentioned consistency. So this was basically my consistency tier, my tier 4. I renamed the tier and I put it, originally it was going to be quarterbacks that could lose their spot this year, but I switched some things around. I thought about how much money some of these guys are making. It's hard to move some monies around.
Yeah.
So I said to myself,
I already know Deshaun Watson's on that list.
Starters that need to prove consistency is my tier 4. And on this tier, I have Daniel Jones. I have Trevor Lawrence. I have Tua Tagovailoa. I have Derek Carr. I have Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, and Kyler Murray. And I guess Deshaun Watson is one of those where I put in this tier because it's one of those things where a couple years removed from your suspension and your injuries, I'm asking myself, are you even the same quarterback on the field? You're not, you look like the worst trade ever. That's what you look like. You look the worst trade ever. So bad that the NFL stepped in and said, we will never allow a trade like that ever again. You will never fleece a football team the way that
Jones
the Houston
was tier
Texans
1, right?
fleeced the Browns. I have Jones in tier 4. You just got to show consistency. But I also in tier 4 have Trevor Lawrence. I have Tua. I have Derek Carr. I have Kyler Murray, who still needs to, like, at one point I was going to put him in tier 3, but I said to myself, let me take a step back. Now, more than anybody on this tiers list, I believe Kyler Murray is going to be the one to play his way up, because if Marvin Harrison is as good as everyone's saying he is, and if everybody's ready to put Marvin Harrison in top 5 category right now at wide receiver, guess what that means for Kyler Murray? He's jumping up the board too. Somebody's got to be throwing him the football. And right now he's healthy. He's ready to go. The offense is revamped. The Cardinals are looking to make a run this year. And it's part of the reason why I drafted Kyler Murray in Dynasty, because
Kyler's
I
going to
believe
be
in
too
his
busy
ability.
playing NCAA 25.
We'll see, man. I think that the hype of Marvin Harrison, if that's true, if that's the real deal, then that could only mean good things for Kyler Murray in 2024. Not that they win the West, but, make the NFC competitive again. Make that wild card race crazy. Spice things up. Be the dark horse in the NFC wild card. The Cardinals, get yourself back in the mix.
I could say my list is almost the same, but it's called, at this point, they are who they are. There's no, hey, maybe they're going to get better. Hey, maybe they're going to finally find that switch.
They already hit their ceiling.
That's it. This is who they are,
Nothing's gonna change.
And nothing should surprise you.
Nothing's
So at this point, they are who they are. Those quarterbacks are Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Derek Carr, Deshaun Watson, Geno Smith, Gardner Minshew, and Sam Darnold.
Damn.
That's who they are.
Sammy D made it on the list, my boy.
Because there's potential for him to play
start
this year.
Yeah, we're going to see
so
some
I
Sam
try
Darnold
to put
football.
Everybody who has potential to play.
We're going to see some Sam Darnold games out there, maybe.
And then you had Stroud in a category ahead.
Yeah, I had him in tier 3 because I do think that Houston has the potential to put themselves at the top of the league this year. I could see a world where, yes, they are, competing in an AFC title game. It will be the first appearance
Simmons
for him.
Still out there? I'm lost.
Simmons.
I don't remember Simmons.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
What's Simmons?
So
Ben
here's
Simmons?
my next tier. It's called the next big thing. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's a quarterback on there that maybe I'm going to catch some flack for. And I'll say his name last. The next big thing.
Justin Simmons. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're trying to see if we can get him, bro. There's rumor and innuendo going around. The Titans are all over it. I'd be very happy. I don't know why he's still out there myself.
Didn't you guys just sign a safety?
Yeah, but we need a real one now. Like, we're talking, this is like a big fish type of scenario, like getting a guy like this. I think that he gets signed before we hear any talks about Ayuk getting traded, because San Francisco, as recently as today, is coming out and saying, we ain't trading him. We don't care what he did. We don't care what he demanded. We're not trading him.
Yeah. Sure. So the next big thing, Jordan Love, maybe. CJ Stroud, I have to put you there because I can't just go off of 1 year. Okay. It's not a deterrent. I'm not saying you suck.
It's fair.
I'm not saying it was a fluke. Give me another year.
CJ Stroud next year is going to be all over the map as far
as the Texans make the playoffs again this year.
Sure.
Well, then Stroud's going to be in my playoff success tier next year. And the same goes for the next guy, Brock Purdy. I know I'm going to catch some heat for this because I know, he's only had a year and a half of starting. Now you got talks of Ayuk. What if Ayuk gets traded? What if Ayuk just starts, my hamstring pop? I don't feel I'm not coming back till I'm healed.
I'm starting to think he might sit. That's what I'm starting to think.
This
is a stalemate.
That's going to hurt the offense, whether anybody wants to acknowledge that or not.
CJ Stroud should be tier 2 at the lowest. I got him in tier 3. I can't put CJ Stroud in with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow.
We can't do it off of 1 year.
Not yet.
We can't be prisoners of now.
Of the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfair because he's a rookie. We can only use last year against him.
Yeah.
It's weird. But again, I think that validates the fact that we just need a longer body of work when it comes to him, his production, and his ability to definitely work his way up. Like
I have no problem with CJ Stroud, but I need another year. Give me another year, and you're going to go up there.
And Rose, I don't even think they're a sleeper anymore. Like, people are picking them to win the division. Like, they are.
People are thinking no longer it could be a sneaky win. Like, some people are picking them to go to the title game.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see about that. The AFC is.
Here's some more of my long ass tiers because I know they're bigger than yours, but we can mix match the players that I have onto yours. My last chance category. Like, this is it. There ain't no coming back to this. You're never going to be a starter again. You're going to be a backup. Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson. They're both on that. See, look at the faces out there. I put a Steeler in a questionable era. Told you I wasn't being biased.
Look at the faces out there.
I know the faces out there.
I only see their Facebook profile faces. I don't know.
Their faces out there are looking at me like.
I don't know if Matt's wearing a tie right now. He could be. I'm not totally sure.
I'm going to say Matt's wearing a tie right now.
You think
I'm going to say Jason's probably in a tee.
Cowboys jersey.
A Cowboys t-shirt.
You know they on 1-year deals.
Chris is probably sitting behind. He's probably got the AC blasting in his house, so he's probably in a hoodie. Rob, I'm going to say he just got back from church, so he's probably got a polo on.
He's dressed to the nines right now.
Yeah.
He's just dressed.
Those are my predictions of what – and Paul's probably just chilling.
My final tier is the unproven potential tier / tier up, and there's going to be a lot of young guys.
Not to cut you off real quick. Let me finish off the one line.
All right.
Time is ticking. Could be in the same – well, it should be in the same tier as Last Chance. Yankees shirt, tough guy.
I should have guessed it.
Time is ticking. Bryce Young, I'm already putting that on there because I did not like what I seen last year at all.
That's more the organization.
Sam Howell, I mean, he has a chance to take over that job in Washington, so let's see. Desmond Ridder, you're going to be riding in Pine, buddy.
He's already done.
Zach Wilson could honestly.
I don't even know how he made your tiers list.
Zach Wilson could be the starter for Denver at some point, or even to start the year.
I don't know who they're starting.
And
they might start the rookie.
The quitter Kenny Pickett. Yeah. Enjoy being a backup, bud.
He's not coming back. Zach Wilson could be a starter for a couple weeks this year.
Pickett might start a couple weeks when Jalen Hurts does his annual 3 games off.
Bryce Young's lifespan is longer than all those guys, and I do believe that Sam Howell gets another shot to potentially.
He might unseat.
He could mess around and go win himself a job.
He could probably unseat Geno.
I could see it. There's talent on that offense. If you can throw that rock, there's plenty of people to throw it to. You got plenty of options. You got a 24-year-old running back in Kenneth Walker that people continue to disrespect every single year.
I
don't understand why. And you got Zach Charbonnet, and you've got capable wide receivers. You got JSN, who's another year into the mix. Metcalf, who, on a good day, you can argue top 10.
I'm still surprised they didn't trade one of them. Metcalf or Lockett.
Yeah.
Maybe they're still not sold on JSN.
Look at what Bryce had to work with. That's what I'm saying when it comes to the Panthers. This is another similar to the Giants. Like with Carolina, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, like, what are you doing this year now? Like, what are you doing, like, quarterback-wise? What are you doing team-wise? You brought Deontay Johnson into the mix. You got Brooks. If he's healthy, he's going to be the RB1.
I'm going to make that a T-shirt.
12-5. I don't expect Carolina to win their division, but maybe this year isn't about winning the division for Carolina. Maybe this year is just at least showing yourself that you're, like, competent, You're competent enough to compete in today's NFL with a young quarterback, top draft picks because you keep losing, and you go out there, you get yourself a veteran wide receiver, you know what I mean, a target machine. I'm not saying Deontay Johnson is the best option, but he is a capable wide receiver in today's NFL.
He's a great route runner. He gets separation.
And guess what? It's more than what Bryce had last year.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, I expect to see them. You can't be any worse than last year, can you? So I guess my expectation level for them is a little bit optimistic.
This year is not about winning. It's crazy.
Well, for the Panthers,
Super Hubbard,
We're talking about the Carolina Panthers right now, bro. Like, do we expect the Carolina Panthers to be Super Bowl contenders? Like, you got to build somewhere. You got to work your way up the tiers. And right now, as far as tiers go, like it's clear they're at the bottom, and they're working their way up from the disaster that went down because incompetent GMs went and just screwed that organization up. Like Dave Gettleman went to Carolina and New York and screwed everything up, and now everybody's coming in and trying to pick up the pieces of the mess that he left behind in both organizations. Carolina has still not recovered from the damages that Dave Gettleman did to them when he was there. They're in shambles. That's why they have a quarterback like Bryce Young. You get high draft picks by sucking or winning trades.
RB1 bit.
He's not. It's Brooks. They just drafted their RB1. And as soon as he's healthy, Chuba Hubbard is
I'll smack that old man
nothing.
I ever see him.
I mean, we'll see, man. I think that 7-8 might be a good number for Carolina.
That would be an excellent number.
It's an improvement from last year.
Poor Shane looks stressed from what Gettleman did to him.
Man, the owner is sitting right across from him and asking him straight up, what's up with the Barkley situation? It's your boss. And I don't know if people, I don't know. Everybody can read what they want out of Hard Knocks and see what they want, but proof's in the pudding, man. Clock's ticking. Clock's ticking, like you said, Oscar.
I'm gonna take over from here again, and I'm gonna do my last two tiers because they're pretty much the same thing. Young Guns, Will Levis, Aiden O'Connell, Anthony Richardson. Rookies, Drake May, Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, and the guy who just found a way to not get the franchise tag placed on him after his rookie deal, Caleb Williams.
I don't think that the Carolina Panthers are going to win 7 or 8 games, guys. I think if they do win 7 or 8 games, that is an improvement based off what we saw last year. I don't know how many they're going to win, and I don't think I'm going to pick them to win.
Yo, Mikey been quiet this whole time and chimed in just now for that.
I said
you've been waiting with your fists clenched, seething.
7 or 8 wins would be good for them. I never said I'm picking them to win 7 or 8, just to be clear. I haven't made that pick yet. You're going to have to tune into the NFC AFC South episode to find out, because I still got to figure that team out. I still got to look at the rosters and everything. Training camp starts next week. Let's hold our horses on some of these things. So that's your final tiers, the rookies. My last tier was I went with unproven potential. And in this tier, I have Anthony Richardson, I have Will Levis, I have Bryce Young, J.J. McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix, Sam Howell. The guys, like the young guys of the league, not enough film on these cats. They played a couple of games, whether it was injuries, whether it was coming in for a guy getting benched. Some of these guys haven't played it down yet in the NFL. They just got drafted. Bo Nix looking like he could potentially end up being the starter in Denver after a couple of weeks. But these are the guys that we don't know what they are. We know what we may think as far as Anthony Richardson goes, but we don't know what he is because, not for nothing, his passing numbers are not pretty for the amount of time that he
I'm on strike after tonight, boys. I'll be in Oscar's front yard with a pick his sign next Wednesday.
Like, we don't know what tier 5 is just yet. And just like anybody else in any other tier, they can tier themselves up. They can get themselves into that tier of showing
my tiers are never final.
But I think that Richardson, Levis, Bryce Young, like McCarthy, Daniels, they're kind of all swimming in the same pool right now. As far as we still don't know who they are. We know they have the opportunity to showcase what they can be.
Just like Robert California said, you don't always have to be on the one side. You can, the B's can join the A's.
Do I think the Panthers are going to win more games than the Giants? I don't know. You're going to have to tune in to find out. I don't know. I just think that
we're not predicting that yet. You got to tune in next month.
They are both in similar situations because a stupid GM was over there and left a mess behind them, and now you have to figure out if you hired a genius or another idiot. That's the game that you're playing.
So Jones does produce this year. I want a written apology from the OTMS headquarters.
What's the bar? What is it? Like,
what is the bar?
Giants making the playoffs? Can we make that?
And I'm not talking about Sheamus and Cesaro.
Giants making the playoffs? Is that because I think that they're only going to win 5 games. So if the Giants make the playoffs this year, do you want me to apologize to the New York Football Giants? That's a fair bar. I see the bar at 5. A wild card is what? 9? 9 wins gets you a wild card. So if the New York Football Giants, with Daniel Jones as the quarterback, not Drew Lock, Daniel Jones has to be the quarterback.
You're sneaky.
Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback for the New York Football Giants, and they get to the playoffs this year. I will come onto this podcast. I will eat crow, and I will apologize for every single thing I have ever said about the New York Giants on this podcast. 8-9, 9-8 with a wild card spot. I don't remember everything I've said. I'll try to dial back as much as I can remember. I know more of the recent stuff.
How about you just apologize for the 2024 campaign?
Apologize for saying they're going to go 5-12?
Yeah, that's all.
All right.
I'll apologize to Giants fans if they make the playoffs.
Sure.
Their GM doesn't believe in him.
I'm already.
And Terrell has joined.
Their GM doesn't believe in him. I don't know who believes in who out there. But those 2 guys sitting in those armchairs did not believe in
Maybe the Giants could call Shane Falco.
I don't believe in the source that told Sheen that the Eagles were out on Saquon Barkley, because you just got fed a ton of bullshit.
We already spoke on the subject, Terrell, but he said go back to the beginning of the podcast.
We spent like the first 24 minutes of the podcast on the subject. It was highly riveting. It was good television. It wasn't planned that way. We were going to jump into the tears right away, but this guy forced me to talk about it. And yeah, we were talking about the clips from Hard Knocks. I watched that too, and it was a highly uncomfortable conversation. Did you see the part where John Mara had his he was just rubbing his eyes?
It's not me, guys.
Woo. So you tell me. I've been there before where things are looking bad and you want to say everything's okay within your organization, but it's really not okay. We're going to find out whether it's okay or not. I have already come out on this podcast tonight and said if the New York Football Giants manage to get a wild card spot, they go 9-8 this year. That means they have maybe at least 1 win against the Cowboys. What is it? What is that show called in Price is Right where they go, ladies, do I have at least 1 number right? Like, can we get at least 1 win against Dallas, not get swept, get yourself a wild card spot? You don't even have to win your playoff game. It's them. Yeah, I like that. Everything that happened in that offense, I had no influence. I had no influence on what Shane said. I had no influence on Mara asking Shane about Saquon Barkley. I'm just here to report the stuff. I'm just here to report it. That's my job each and every week. That's the stuff that I was looking through. Oof. Dallas owns the East. I do have the Dallas Cowboys winning the NFC East this year.
Dable wanted
That
Daniels.
is my early pick.
Everybody knows we need a Kobe. Shane tried to move up, but it didn't happen, so we took a wide receiver.
I wonder who they tried to move up with. I don't think Hard Knocks showed that yet, did they? I didn't watch the new episode. I just saw the clip because it went viral as soon as it happened. The minute that conversation hit the internet, it was the most watched piece of footage all day long. And every member of sports media is on it. And it does not shine a good light on this organization right now. Just saying.
Not at all.
It ain't just On the Money podcast. It's the world. It's the world.
Yep. So that's interesting.
New England.
Damn, what about Caleb Williams, man?
We reached out to New England, but they wanted a quarterback as well. Caleb Williams went and fleeced the Bears by making himself ineligible to be tagged, which means that Caleb Williams can go out, have himself a 9-8 year, make the playoffs once, be a one-hit wonder once, and get the bag from the Chicago Bears off of what he did in 1 year. He is learning the business side of football before he even steps on the field and does anything right on the field.
He even tried to figure a way to
fleece them.
Have him paid as in loan payments.
I want Fields to take over the Steelers. Last I heard, it wasn't going too well for him out there. So I don't know, man. I don't know what is to become of.
We'll see.
His future is murky.
I want whoever gives him the best chance to win games.
Yeah. Patriots declined the trade up offer from the Giants that they initially sent out to them. Patriots knew what they wanted to do. He's going to be a great agent in a couple of years.
I'm sorry, man. I don't know how much faith as a Chicago Bears fan you can have in a guy that when he loses, he just
Fields has no footwork in the pocket.
He just, he just gets sad, and he's like,
it's going to be hard for the Bears to trade themselves out of this quarterback because guess what? Somebody, if this doesn't work out, is getting fired. Multiple people are. Your GM,
everybody
gone. Coach, gone. Ryan Poles, bro, you want to sit there and take this gamble? You want to sit there, draft this kid when you could have kept Fields and then turned that first round pick into whatever you wanted because you would have fleeced somebody. You did it 1 year. You did it. You got your little pieces from that deal. You could have done another one.
You
go for Caleb Williams.
This team is better built now than what it was.
Kid.
This team is built better now than what it ever was when Justin Fields was a QB.
Yeah.
So they kind of did a disservice to Justin Fields.
You finally built the team that Justin Fields needed, but now you went and you switched up the quarterback, and you're hoping that Caleb Williams.
So that quarterback better pan out because then honestly, you could have kept Fields, fleeced somebody again.
Still got all those things that you have now.
Yep.
And more. So no matter what you did right, this outlier of Caleb Williams is going to loom over your head for the entirety of this season and the next season. And it's all about, is he capable of leading this football team? Because the Bears are the team that get the most hype with doing the least amount. They do not make the playoffs. Can't remember the last time they did it. But every single year, based on their draft positioning and their assets and who's where, every single year I hear to myself, oh, man, this is it. This is where they're going to put it all together. They're going to put it all together.
Or they could have took Harrison, number one, had a DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison combo with Justin Fields as a quarterback, with Cole Kmet.
They did what they did. Now they got,
and then that
Allen,
other
they
pick,
Moore,
they could have picked
Dunze. So they got the wide receivers.
So Caleb better pan.
But the weapons are there. There's more weapons there than ever. It's on the quarterback.
You're 100% right.
And it's on the quarterback, and if that doesn't work out, then it's on management's ass because you co-signed for all of this and you doubled down on it on top of that. And you're going to triple down on it because guess what? You're going to pay this kid. You are going to pay this kid if he has one good season. And his good season doesn't even have to be a 12 win type of year. I'm talking 9-8. You get those Chicago fans out there hyped about a wild card game, bro. If the Bears make the playoffs, the city will riot. They love the Bears more than any other team in Chicago. Chicago is an authentic sports town. They love their baseball teams. They love their Cubbies, but the Bears take precedence over everything out there. That's it. That's all they care about. They will go to each and every game. They have completely abandoned the Chicago White Sox. They do not. They are a sports town that does not go watch one of their baseball teams play. They're all at Wrigley Field, and they're all at Soldier Field when it's the NFL season. They couldn't be more bought into the Bears hype. They're waiting for their team to actually be good. And if you come out and have another piss poor performance, and this kid is not mentally tough enough to handle the ups and downs of a roller coaster NFL season in a highly competitive division,
I already got a list for next week to go off of and compare.
Yeah, with the Packers and the Lions, and we don't know what the Vikings are. It's a tough division to go in there and try to win, especially if you ain't ready and you ain't capable. You're going into a super competitive division with a team in it that just made an NFC title appearance.
The Vikings aren't that off because they still got great offensive pieces surrounding whoever the quarterback may be. So if the quarterback's just average, they could fight for a wild card.
Can you imagine if J.J. McCarthy's better than Caleb Williams?
Oof. Then there'll be excuses because he's got Jetta, but that's not an excuse.
Yeah, like what's another last place finish for Chicago do for them? And what are the conversations in that front office? We got to hold these people accountable. You can't just be in last place every year in your division and nothing happens to you. Winning matters. Winning cures everything. Nobody's going to question anything if you walk out of Sunday with a W. Doesn't matter. It was ugly. Yeah, whatever. I got the win. I win, you lose. Talk to me next week. It's all that matters if you win football games. If you're not winning football games, you ain't doing something right. It's your sources. It's your talent. It's you at the position that you're in over your head. Like, more than any other sport. In baseball, you got 162 games. Basketball, 82. You know what? Sometimes these guys take nights off during the baseball and basketball season. You take a night off during the football season, it can cost you a playoff spot. Like, that's it. Every week, every game matters.
Indeed.
Like, every week, every game matters, bro. And when you're winning football games, nobody's worried about any of the flaws going on. It's about, did you win or did you lose? What did you do to put yourself at the top of your division or close to it to where you're in the wild card spot?
You're right.
That's all that matters.
You're not wrong at all.
And this year, I feel like more than any other is the year where there's only so many free passes that you can give to some of these football teams. Who's really getting a free pass? What? Maybe Washington? Because, everything's like new out there, what they've got going on.
Washington's
like, and I think they're going to overachieve. I think they actually make a wild card push. But who's out there? We can't count the teams that we don't expect anything from. But if Carolina and the Giants and the Bears, they go out there and they win 4 games this year, like, what happens? If Derek Carr goes out there and shits the bed and the New Orleans Saints go out there and win like 6 games, what are you going to do out there? He's out there overthrowing the guy by 10 yards, and then he wants to scream and shout at Chris Olave like it's his fault. He was never going to be able to catch that. You can't catch something out of bounds. You're yelling at him. Are you insane? Like, what the hell?
That's why most still make fun of the Giants' loss since the boot distraction game. Well, no, they righted the wrong of that when they won that playoff game a couple of years ago.
I mean, if people want to talk about the Yankees and the Lakers living off the logo, like, what about the New York Giants? Like, what have they done lately? You've been losing for a decade. Honestly, with no breaks in between besides the one playoff game where you beat a football team that we don't even know who the hell they are right now, which doesn't say much about your identity.
Yep.
Like, and you just, according to your owner, you just lost your most popular player by far to your biggest rival. So you tell me if everything's okay.
Bro, we're seriously going back to this?
Nah. You tell me. All right? I'm just saying, bro, like, we just got to hold everybody accountable here, man. That's all.
Ryan Poles needs to be held accountable.
Yeah, the Chicago Bears.
Joe Douglas of the Jets needs to be held accountable.
Yeah.
The
Jets, you got 2 years at best with this team.
If this Rodgers doesn't work.
After that, what are you going to do? Rodgers has like 2 good years. 40-year-old quarterback coming back from an Achilles injury. Like, you have 2 years. You have to do something this year. And then next year, and that's it. That's your shot. That's your window. And then after that, what are you going to do?
Ooh, that's what I wanted to keep. I knew there was something I had to talk about.
And if the Jets fall short this year, I mean, those guys are going to be gone too. Like, it's over for Salah. It's over for that organization. Owner's going to keep his spot. Everything else is going to change, though.
See if I can find it.
I think that we
Here we go. I'm gonna help out the Giants fans real quick here. The Eagles' $300 million in salary cap debt raises concerns. Despite their aggressive win now approach, the Philadelphia Eagles face a daunting financial future with over $300 million in salary cap debt, according to NFL analyst Chris Kaufman.
They are an expensive team. They definitely are an expensive football
The
team.
staggering figure presents money already paid out by the organization, but not yet reflected in the official salary cap calculations. To put this in perspective, the Eagles' future debt surpasses the 2024 NFL salary cap of $255.4. What's more alarming is the gap between Philly and the rest of the league. The Saints, the next team on the list, trails the Eagles by approximately $40 million in future cap obligations. They just been in cap hell forever.
Chris says Salah has the highest betting odds to get fired. Garrett Wilson is on the block.
This stark contrast underscores the aggressive approach taken by Eagles general manager
He's overrated in my
Howie
opinion.
Roseman in his quest to win a championship. Basically, they keep talking. Ultimately, if Philly can capitalize on its current championship window, then the financial gymnastics required in the coming years may be viewed as a worthwhile sacrifice. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, you keep kicking the can down the road, eventually you're not going to be able to kick the can anywhere else. So eventually, the Eagles are going to have to pay.
But if you can win a Super Bowl before that, it won't matter. That's it. Winning is the cure to all of these things. Winning is the cure.
So, honestly, they could be in a position just like the Saints. And it's very possible it could happen within the next 3 to 4 years.
They'll be the new Orleans.
We are fine. They can't predict our fine. This is where Terrell's blinders come, because he has no blinders for the Phils, for the Sixers, but he has blinders for the Eagles.
It's football, man.
Buddy, the Saints, when the time comes, the right moves will happen. You still will be in salary cap. Hell, it's going to happen. You can't keep kicking a can down the road and expect it. God forbid something happens to where, perfect example, the NFL loses their appeal to Sunday Ticket, where that means $440 million from each team has to be coughed up in a settlement. You don't think that's going to hurt the salary cap? Instead of it getting adjusted, it might have to come down. And what happens then? Cuts got to be made. But the problem is you start cutting people or renegotiating and you kick the can further down the road. Eventually, they'll have to pay the piper. You can keep saying Howie's a genius at this cap, but it will come. I mean, you don't. Eagle fans shouldn't really worry about the salary cap. They need to see if their quarterback's going to be worth this mega deal he signed.
Yep, I agree. Philly ain't winning shit. I say that they got a wild card in them. I say that the Eagles go. I'll give them 9-8 this year. They got some things to figure out, just like every team. But I think that they'll. The way they're built right now, I mean, for the Eagles, like that team's too expensive to like not make the playoffs. I feel like you got your money invested where it needs to be, so you got to go out there and you got to win.
The Eagles don't win a Super Bowl within the next 2 years. It was all for nothing.
And we still have questions as far as Jalen Hurts goes and his abilities as far as what he can do. We got questions as far as the head coach. Not so much questions as far as Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, because they've shown that they have a system that works well for them, and they just need the right pieces in that system. So it's all about those years in between where you're finding those pieces.
Double-digit win season easily. Let's hope your defense is good.
I'll say 9. 9-8. 9-8's a good spot in the NFC. 9-8 gets you a wild card in the NFC. Hell, 9-8 can get you a wild card in the AFC this year. Things are different. Saquon knees only got about 2 years left.
You brought it back up this time, bud.
I am looking forward to those Eagles and Giants games. I'm looking forward to the trash talking that is going to take over my group chats when those two teams play each other. If Saquon Barkley goes out there and absolutely destroys the Giants both times.
When do the Giants play the Eagles?
Was it like later in the season? Is it late?
October 20th at 1 p.m.
So mark it on your calendars. Giants, Eagles, October 20th this year. Sounds like a week 7, week 8 matchup. Week 8 maybe.
Oh. That'll be on the big TV.
What, Steelers are off or something?
They play Monday night, the Giants. No, they don't. They can't. What the hell am I talking about?
No, week 8. So they must play like the week before or the week after.
Hold on, I'll tell you right now.
Either way, I'm betting on the Eagles spread for that one. I don't know. Maybe they split this year. They usually split. That's what happens. So you win one, you lose one.
It's the week before the Steelers game. I might let y'all have that TV. I might be a nice guy.
The New York-Philly rivalry.
And then they don't play again until the last game of the year.
The New York-Philly rivalry will be intensified yet again by the latest piece in the ongoing rivalry between the two sports cities. Now Saquon Barkley donning the green instead of the blue. It's going to be one of the biggest storylines heading into the season. Telling Saquon down dancing, looking for a hold. Oh man!
Oh, this is going to be. This will be.
It's going to be a good. It's going to be a fun. It's going to be a fun month, man. We're a month away for some football. Less than. There's preseason games in about a month. We're going to start seeing teams on the field, smacking up, playing some football. Draft season is approaching. I have my first fantasy draft August 18th. I am picking 10th in a 10-man league, 1 quarterback league. So already thinking about strategies to deploy for the drafts and getting onto the board. Shout out to the South Jersey Brawlers League, the league that I have bombed in for the last 2 years. So I'm hoping that 3's a charm.
Rick's spot.
Yes.
Just a bomb.
Rick earlier said that if I bomb again, that he is going to unretire, I think, and get his spot back. So either 3's a charm or Rick is going to end up having his spot back in the league. Nonetheless, I'm super excited. Have the dates lined up. On the Money Sports Draft, Sick Picks Draft, East Coast Champs Draft, Dynasty Leagues already locked in. Like, I'm super excited to talk fantasy and talk more football. Running backs and wide receivers on the docket next week. So that's going to be all over the place because there's just a lot of names, a lot of guys, you know. Again, I think that I'm going to keep my tier structured to like 5 or 6 at most, and just kind of play it like that. This one will be
simpler for me.
I think it was a little easier for me to do the quarterbacks since there's less of them, but with the running backs and the wide receivers, I'm going to be, just doing some research because there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to come in this year.
Where's Devin A-Chain going to be?
He's probably going to be on Mikey's fantasy playoff team because Devin A-Chain is a piece that can get you into the fantasy playoffs. And if you trade him away, you better get something in return of quality or value to the likes of a Devin A-Chain this year because in 2024, he's a top 10 running back. So if it ain't a top 10 quality type player that you're getting back for him in return, you lost the trade. That's all I can tell you. Devin A-Chain is going to be a stud. All right. He's going to be a stud. I looked on the dynasty rankings and I think he's like 7 or 8 right now overall at the running back position. So you tell me.
So was Hubbard. Don't be rude.
Hurts, yeah, I don't know if Hurts can read. We'll find out this season if Hurts can read. We'll find out if Nick Sirianni can coach. We'll find out if Shane is going to be able to keep his job in New York. Travis Kelce. And that's it. And he also gave away a draft pick and a young tight end with massive potential for a 34-year-old tight end. So we'll see how it plays out. Just like everything else, just like every other decision these GMs are making all off the field in the front office, our dynasty GM decisions will be put to the test in dynasty football this year. It is year 1, the startup league of Kingpin's Dynasty. Shout out to the boys. It's one of my favorite new leagues to hit the scene. It's year 1. I'm super excited to see what everybody's team looks like, especially after some of the trades that were made prior to the draft and after the draft. Yeah, we'll see, man. This is where we make our predictions, we make our picks, and then the football season is where we find out what we got right, what we got wrong. And in Dynasty, it's even sweeter because there's no escaping a Dynasty league. You can't just throw your players back into the pool when you're done playing with them. There's a Dynasty offseason. There's year 2. There's year 3. So some of these storylines, similar to when people thought Derek Carr was great, they're going to have legs. And we're going to remember a lot of the things that were said and what we got right, what we got wrong.
Yep, I was told Derek Carr was elite.
Well,
and that the Raiders did him no justice. So
right now I'm being told that it's all Barkley's fault and the Giants are scotch-free. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. They said him and Taylor be spending like $100K a day. Oh man. Yeah, Travis is distracted right now. I'm not really sure. I'm not looking to draft him too much in football. I might get him in one redraft league, but I'm good on that. There's plenty of other tight ends in fantasy football in 2024 that I'm way more excited about.
Yeah. Same here.
To each his own. To each his own. But next week, On the Money Podcast, we'll be live. We're going to be talking running backs. We're going to be talking wide receivers. Going to be breaking down some of the names, the rookies, the new names. Who is the new 101 in fantasy football? Is it still Justin Jefferson? Since we're on the subject of wide receivers, we don't know, man. The board is going to look a lot different, and we know that no matter what we say before we draft, the board always dictates what we end up doing.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling this year it's going to look super different. Maybe something is a reach, maybe it's not. But, tonight was the official start of football season to me. So stay tuned for a lot more football talk moving forward, as well as the return of baseball on Friday. So we'll be covering that this coming week. And any off-season updates, training camp going down next week officially. So it's time, bro. Our phones are going to start going off with notifications from Sleeper and the fantasy apps and ESPN and telling us things we want to hear and some things that we might not want to hear, but we may just have to accept. It's life as a sports fan.
Yeah.
So thanks to everybody who tuned in for tonight's podcast. Thank you guys for the feedback.
It's been an interesting night.
Much appreciated.
I just got a lot of thoughts in my head. I'm just thinking
great conversation. I feel like we did a good job of planting the seeds for our divisional breakdowns come August. That's what I feel like tonight's episode was. A good way to bounce off of what we discussed tonight, continue those conversations.
I wonder if the GM of the Ravens said, I hope he doesn't go anywhere. I hope Patrick Queen doesn't go to the Steelers.
I don't know. Maybe the Ravens would have given him his money before that happened, but we'll see. We'll see.
Until then,
Catch
next
you in the
week,
forum, guys.
Running back, wide receiver tiers, and some baseball talk. Until then, set your lineups.
Sandlot Baseball Association is back Friday. Set your lineups, boys.